What if I told you that the legendary warriors we romanticize in movies lived lives vastly different from what we imagine? The samurai weren't just sword-wielding heroes, they were bureaucrats, poets, administrators, and yes, deadly warriors who shaped Japan for over 7 centuries. Between the 12th and 19th centuries, Japan's samurai class dominated every aspect of society. These weren't merely soldiers, they were the ruling elite, bound by a strict code that governed everything from how they fought to how they died. To understand the samurai is to understand Japan itself during its most transformative period. Let's start with what daily life actually looked like for a samurai. Contrary to popular belief, most samurai spent very little time fighting. During peacetime, which comprised most of Japan's history, samurai served as government officials and estate managers. They collected taxes, maintained records, and settled disputes among commoners. A typical samurai would wake before dawn, often around 4 or 5 in the morning. The morning began with meditation and spiritual practice. Many samurai practiced Zen Buddhism, believing it sharpened mental discipline and prepared them for death. After meditation, they'd practice calligraphy, an essential skill for administrative work. A samurai's handwriting reflected his character and education. Poor calligraphy could damage one's reputation as severely as cowardice in battle. Breakfast was simple, usually rice, miso soup, pickled vegetables, and occasionally fish. Samurai ate modestly, believing excessive indulgence weakened warrior spirit. After breakfast came the day's administrative duties. A samurai might spend hours reviewing tax records, writing reports, or attending to his lord's correspondence. This wasn't glamorous work, but it was essential to maintaining feudal society. Afternoons were reserved for martial training, the aspect of samurai life that captures our imagination. But even here, reality diverges from myth. Training wasn't just about swordsmanship. Samurai studied multiple martial arts, including archery, spearfighting, horseback riding, and unarmed combat. They also learned swimming in full armor, a crucial skill for island warfare. The responsibilities of a samurai extended far beyond personal martial prowess. They served as role models for society, expected to embody virtue in every action. The Bushido code, meaning the way of the warrior, governed their conduct. This unwritten code emphasized 8 virtues: righteousness, courage, benevolence, respect, honesty, honor, loyalty, and self-control. Loyalty to one's lord stood above all other virtues. A samurai pledged absolute allegiance to his daimyo, or feudal lord. This loyalty was so absolute that samurai were expected to commit seppuku, ritual suicide, if they failed their lord or brought dishonor to their name. This wasn't mere tradition, it was a binding social contract that maintained feudal stability. Samurai also bore responsibility for their families and retainers. A samurai household wasn't just a family, it included servants, lower-ranking warriors, and craftsmen who depended on the samurai's stipend. Managing these households required financial acumen and leadership skills. Many samurai struggled with debt, as maintaining appropriate social status required expensive weapons, armor, and formal clothing. Training to become a samurai began in childhood, often as young as 5 years old. Boys from samurai families started with basic physical conditioning and lessons in reading and writing. By age 7, they received their first wooden sword and began formal martial instruction. Training was brutal by modern standards, emphasizing pain tolerance and mental fortitude. Young samurai learned swordsmanship through kata, predetermined forms that taught proper technique and movement. They practiced these forms thousands of times until movements became instinctive. Master swordsmen believed the sword should become an extension of the body, requiring no conscious thought to wield effectively. Students also engaged in sparring with wooden swords, which could break bones despite being non-lethal. Archery training was equally demanding. Samurai practiced Kyudo, the way of the bow, which emphasized spiritual development alongside technical skill. A samurai might shoot hundreds of arrows daily, developing the strength to draw powerful longbows while mounted on horseback. Horseback archery, called yabusame, was considered the ultimate test of samurai skill. Education wasn't purely martial. Samurai studied Chinese classics, Japanese poetry, tea ceremony, and flower arrangement. These cultural pursuits weren't frivolous. They cultivated the refined sensibility expected of the ruling class. A samurai who excelled only in violence was considered crude and incomplete. The ideal samurai balanced martial prowess with cultural sophistication. Let's examine some key figures who exemplified these ideals. Miyamoto Musashi, who lived from 1584 to 1645, became Japan's most legendary swordsman. He fought his first duel at age 13 and remained undefeated through 61 duels during his lifetime. But Musashi's legacy extends beyond fighting. He developed a two-sword fighting style called Niten Ichi Ryu and wrote the Book of Five Rings, a treatise on strategy still studied today. Musashi's life illustrates the samurai's complex relationship with violence. Despite his deadly skill, he spent his later years as a hermit, creating art and writing philosophy. He painted beautiful ink wash paintings and carved wooden sculptures. This transformation from warrior to artist reflects the samurai ideal of finding peace through mastery of war. Oda Nobunaga, who lived from 1534 to 1582, represents the samurai as political revolutionary. He began unifying Japan after centuries of civil war, using innovative military tactics and embracing Western technology. Nobunaga equipped his armies with firearms, then rare in Japan, and defeated traditional samurai cavalry with disciplined musket formations. His willingness to abandon tradition for effectiveness changed warfare forever. Nobunaga's story ended tragically when his retainer Akechi Mitsuhide betrayed him in 1582. Surrounded at Honnoji Temple in Kyoto, Nobunaga committed seppuku rather than face capture. His death demonstrates the samurai acceptance of mortality and the importance of dying with honor. This moment, known as the Honnoji incident, altered Japanese history's trajectory. We must also recognize female samurai, often overlooked in popular narratives. Tomoe Gozen, who fought in the Genpei War during the late 12th century, was renowned for her skill with sword and bow. Historical accounts describe her as a warrior worth 1,000, ready to confront a demon or a god. She fought in multiple battles, leading troops and engaging in single combat. Female samurai, called onabu geisha, trained in martial arts to defend their households when men were away at war. They typically specialized in the naginata, a polearm weapon, rather than the katana sword. Recent archaeological evidence suggests female warriors participated in battles more frequently than previously believed. DNA analysis of battlefield remains shows that up to 30% of skeletons from some battles belonged to women. The Battle of Sekigahara in 1600 marked a pivotal moment in samurai history. This massive engagement involved over 150,000 warriors and decided Japan's future for the next 250 years. Tokugawa Ieyasu's victory established the Tokugawa shogunate, which brought unprecedented peace to Japan. This peace paradoxically transformed the samurai from warriors into bureaucrats. During the Tokugawa period, samurai faced an identity crisis. With no wars to fight, their martial skills became largely ceremonial. They adapted by emphasizing cultural refinement and administrative competence. This transformation shows the samurai's pragmatism and ability to evolve with changing circumstances. They remained the ruling class not through violence, but through education and governance. The famous samurai Yamamoto Tsunetomo captured this transformation in his 18th century text, Hagakure. He wrote, "The way of the samurai is found in death." This wasn't promoting reckless violence, but rather accepting mortality to live fully in each moment. The philosophy influenced samurai thinking for generations, emphasizing presence and commitment over mere survival. However, we must acknowledge the darker aspects of samurai culture. The rigid class system oppressed commoners and prevented social mobility. Samurai held the legal right to kill any commoner who disrespected them, a practice called kiri-suit gomen. This created a society where the majority lived in fear of the warrior elite. The romanticized image of samurai often ignores this systemic inequality. The samurai era ended with the Meiji Restoration in 1868, when Japan opened to the West and modernized rapidly. The new government abolished the samurai class, prohibited carrying swords, and created a conscript army. Many samurai resisted these changes. The Satsuma Rebellion of 1877, led by the famous samurai Saigo Takamori, represented the last stand of traditional warrior culture. Yet samurai influence persists in modern Japan and worldwide. The emphasis on discipline, loyalty, and continuous self-improvement resonates in Japanese business culture and martial arts practiced globally. Companies like Toyota incorporate samurai principles into their management philosophy. Martial arts, including kendo, aikido, and judo, evolved directly from samurai training methods. The samurai legacy teaches us that true strength combines multiple dimensions. Physical prowess means nothing without moral character. Martial skill gains purpose through cultural refinement. Individual excellence serves collective harmony. These paradoxes define the samurai and continue challenging how we think about leadership, discipline, and honor. Today, over 150 years after their abolition, samurai remain cultural icons representing dedication to mastery. Their story reminds us that greatness requires balancing opposing forces, strength and gentleness, tradition and innovation, individual honor and social duty. Understanding the real samurai, beyond the myths, reveals a complex warrior class that shaped not just Japan, but our global conception of what it means to live with purpose and die with dignity. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe more. What would you like to learn next?